In the beginning of the story, we see a prison which was built on a deserted island. Today new prisoners were being brought inside this prison, one of whom was Edmund. On meeting the warden, Edmund tells him that, "Sir, please help me, I have not done anything, I have been sent here on false charges," to which the warden replied very calmly that, "I know if you had done anything, you would have been thrown in some jail within the country. Only those people are brought to this far-off prison against whom some conspiracy has been hatched." After this, the warden beat him and then he was locked in a prison room where there was a wooden door and a small window. This door opened only once a year when the warden came inside to beat them without any reason. Time passed and Edmund became very upset by being locked alone in the room. He had written on the wall that God should give me justice, but gradually when he spent 12 years in that prison, he lost faith in God as well. He felt that I will remain locked here for the whole life, but then one day suddenly the floor of his room started rising from beneath. This strange incident blew Edmund's senses. He felt as if a ghost had appeared before him. After getting frightened for a while, Edmund saw that a person was coming out from beneath the ground. This man emerging from beneath the ground was Abe, who was a prisoner on the floor below this place. He was digging a tunnel for the past 5 years. Fate took such a turn that the tunnel came straight into Edmund's room as if it was a sign from God. With Abe's arrival, Edmund got a friend with whom he could talk because he was going mad after being locked alone in the room for so long. After this, Abe called Edmund to his room with great enthusiasm. Edmund was very happy that he would not have to spend time by making marks on the wall with stones. As soon as Edmund entered Abe's room, he was surprised to see the scene there. Abe's room was not like that of other prisoners. It could be said to be like a decent hotel. There were chairs for his comfort and God knows how many books were lying on the shelf. Abe promised Edmund that if he helped him in digging the tunnel, he would be given a job. If they help him then Abe can teach him in the remaining time. Edmund did not have much to do anyway, so he immediately agreed. After this, both of them were about to start digging when they heard the sound of the guard's footsteps. Trembling with fear, Edmund immediately ran towards his room and then he quickly prepared the garbage basket because the guard was about to come to his floor too. In this prison, the door of the room opens only twice, once to take the garbage and once to serve dinner. Apart from this, both of them will have a lot of time in the whole day in which they can dig the tunnel comfortably without worrying about getting caught. After this, Abe cut a small bunch of his hair. He lit the hair by taking out a spark from the stone and lit a candle. Then somehow both of them entered the tunnel and started digging further. There was very little space below, so digging was not an easy task. Abe estimated that if they kept going at this speed, it would take them at least 3 more years to reach outside the ground. One day, while resting, Edmund came to know from one of Abe's books that Abe had once lived in a cave. He used to be a very good swordsman. After this, Edmund insisted that if Abe does not teach him swordsmanship, he will not dig any more tunnels. Edmund now had only one aim in his life, to take revenge from his enemies. After listening to him, Abe agreed to teach Edmund the art of fighting. Abe started explaining that speed is the biggest strength of a warrior. Abe thought of teaching Edmund the art of fighting with the drops of water dripping in the room. He passed his hand through the dripping stream of water so fast that it did not get wet and said that the day your hands become so fast, you will become a capable warrior. After this, Abe went back to digging and Edmund continued his practice. After a few days, Abe broke the wooden planks from the door and made a fake sword and started teaching Edmund swordsmanship in a good way. When his swordsmanship training ended, Edmund would focus on studies. Now his whole day would be spent in studies, digging and swordsmanship practice. After a few months, Edmund's swordsmanship improved tremendously. Now Abe started seeing that Edmund was even better than him. He has become a swordsman. One evening, during a conversation, Edmund came to know that Abe earlier used to work for a very rich family named Stadia. His master had earned a lot of wealth and now Napoleon has imprisoned Abe to get information about this treasure. Hearing this, Edmund got very angry because he too was locked inside due to Napoleon's deceit. Day by day, the digging of the tunnel was taking them closer to freedom. One day, they started seeing the roots of plants in the ground of the tunnel, from which Abe calculated that both of them were very close to getting out. Both of them were very happy to know this, but soon something like this happened. That their happiness was ruined. The tunnel started shaking rapidly and then with a loud sound, a lot of stones and soil fell on them, under which Abe got buried. Panicked, Edmund immediately removed the stones and took Abe out. Actually, he was digging in the wrong direction. He must have made some mistake while digging the tunnel because a food box also fell down from above. A very heavy stone fell on Abe's chest and he was seriously injured. Due to the injury in his lungs, he could have died at any time. In his last moments, Abe told Edmund in a weak voice that a book will be found under a stone in the room. There is something hidden under that book too. Edmund found a map of the same treasure from there, due to which Abe was imprisoned here. Edmund was very shocked to see the map. Abe promised him that he will always use this wealth for good and will stay away from wrong deeds as much as possible. Edmund promised, after which Abe died shortly. Edmund had tears in his eyes because he felt that he was alone again. Then the guard came to give food, then Edmund he hid behind the wall. The guard called out but got no response. When he came inside to check and saw Abe's body, he panicked and went to report to his seniors. Edward quickly hid the mouth of the tunnel and went back. After some time, the guard returned with some of his companions and put Abe's body in a body bag. Edmund was hiding in the tunnel and waiting for them to leave. As soon as the guards left from there, Edmund silently entered the room and started looking at Abe's body. Seeing the body, an idea came to Edmund's mind. He quickly replaced Abe's body. After some time, the warden came with his men to take the body from there. This jail was on a deserted island, so they thought that it would be better to throw the body into the sea. Meanwhile, a guard went to Edmund's room with food, but when no one even uttered a sound despite repeatedly knocking the door, the guard got suspicious. He opened the door and went inside, but there he found not Edmund but Abe's body, after which the guard went to call the warden shouting, "Warden, finish this work quickly." And that day stormy winds were blowing, the waves of the sea were hitting the rocks, so it was very difficult to hear anything. The warden was trying to hear what the guard was saying, but in the meantime Edmund suddenly stole the keys of the warden, but due to this shock, the warden also fell straight into the sea with Edmund. As soon as he fell into the sea, Edmund quickly freed himself with the help of the keys, and as soon as he swam up, he looked back at the warden. Years of anger was filled inside him and he ruthlessly drowned the warden in the water and killed him. After this, he kept swimming far away in the sea without looking back. The next morning when Edmund opened his eyes, he was on an island. He doesn't know how he reached here alive. He himself could not understand how he reached here alive, but still he was not free. A group of pirates was sitting and watching him comfortably. Now Edmund thought that he would be killed, but the leader of the robbers, Lewis, gave him a chance. He said that he would leave Edmund alive, only on one condition. But Edmund will have to fight his traitor friend Jacopon, whom he was going to bury alive anyway. If Jacopon wins, he can join his team again, but he will kill Edmund. But if Edmund wins, he will release him. Soon the fight between the two started. Jacopon was very skilled in swordsmanship, but Edmund's technique learned from the abbey proved to be very powerful. Despite several attacks, Jacopon could not even touch Edmund. As soon as he got the chance, Edmund attacked swiftly and knocked Jacopon down, but instead of killing him, Edmund said to Luigi, "Look, both of us will work for you, we are useful people. Friend, why are you killing us without any reason? Finding more pirates is not an easy task." Seeing Edmund's skill and kindness, Lewis was pleased and he spared the lives of both. During the conversation on the ship, Edmund told his whole story to the captain, after which he freed Edmund so that he could fulfill his purpose of revenge. Edmund joined Jacopur. Edmund had saved his life, so he promised that he would always be loyal to him. Edmund asked Jacopur to arrange for a boat until he finishes some of his personal work. Late night Edmund quietly went to his old master's house, but everything had changed. The old master did not even recognize him. He came to know that his father also died of grief after he went to jail. Edmund was deeply shocked by this news, and he was hurt the most when Edmund came to know that his old friend Montague had trapped him, and then Montague had made a mark of his fiancée. They searched every inch of that island but did not find the treasure, but then Edmund thought that maybe there is something under the water. He had found the treasure mentioned in the map. He dived into an underground pond near the place and found many old chests. As soon as he opened a chest, he saw glittering gold. Capo was overjoyed and he filled the boat with as much gold as he could. But to carry the entire treasure, they needed a big ship. But Edmund was more than happy. He had a fire of revenge. He decided that this wealth will be used for only one purpose. To make a way for his revenge, first of all Edmund bought a big luxurious house and presented himself as a new nobleman of France. He also invited other noblemen around him for a party in his luxurious house. Soon his claims and royal style made him famous among everyone. The nobleman now started taking interest in Edmund, but in reality Edmund was doing all this to attract the attention of his treacherous friend Montague. But he left without talking to him. Edmund's old fiancée Mercedes-Benz would find it difficult to arrange money from anywhere else. Capo informed Edmund that Montague also has a son. After which Edmund, along with a beautiful woman and his robber friends, faked Albert's kidnapping so that Edmund himself could become the Messiah and save him. The plan worked and Albert felt that this man has saved my life. Thanking him, Albert requested Edmund that his birthday is after a few days, you must come to that party. Edmund showed some tantrums but finally agreed. In the same party, Albert introduced his father Montague to Edmund. Both of them were face to face after 13 years. Edmund's appearance had changed so much that Montague did not recognize him. But Music Wilford was a corrupt magistrate who had complete control over the police of this area. After listening to Edmund, Wilford made a plan with Montague in which they will loot Edmund's treasure before he comes here and then all the gold is theirs, on which Montague said that there is a man who can help them in this work. Actually, these three people were also involved in sending Edmund to jail and Edmund had now deliberately collected them. Well, after the party was over, Montague betrayed him and said Edmund was hanged. Edmund was afraid. So that this truth does not spoil his revenge plan, he put it around his neck for now. Before killing him, Edmund told him his real identity so that he remembers the crime for which he died. Now the next target was Magistrate Wilford. Years ago, this magistrate had framed Edmund in the matter of Napoleon's letter. The magistrate's father himself was a supporter of Napoleon, but in order to gain power, the magistrate got his own father killed and put the blame on Edmund and sent him to jail. But now Edmund cleverly made the magistrate tell all this in the course of conversation. Wilford also told everything because anyway Edmund cannot prove all this. But the police were already present in the room, who heard Wilford's entire talk and caught him and took him away. On the other hand, Montague, who had become bankrupt, was preparing to run away, but Sangeet went to the fort where he had hidden all the stolen treasure, but on opening the chest, only sand came out from inside. In the last chest, only a small chess piece came out which Montague had given to Edmund. At that very moment Edmund arrived there and Montague had understood who he was. Montague, filled with anger, attacked Edmund with his sword, but he was no match for Edmund. Edmund easily dropped his sword and pinned him against the wall, but just as Edmund was about to make the final attack, Albert came in between and said that he would not let his father die like this. Taking advantage of this, Montague secretly started loading bullets and gunpowder in the gun, but when Montague mounted his horse and attacked fiercely, Edmund's sword fell. Now Montague seemed to be winning, but in the end, Edmund somehow made Montague fall and made a fatal attack. Montague died on the spot. After his fire of revenge cooled down, Edmund went to his wife so that no one has to endure what he had to endure. If you like the video, give a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.